you're trying to answer. This will help you to scope your investigation to a limited. You need to limit the scope first. Okay, you can't just accept any hard drive and start the forensics and tell, okay, these are all the 100 kind of things that the person did. It's not like that. You the thing is that it would work. It would only work when you have like only one, let's say only one forensic case in a month. But if you are getting like, let's say, five forensic case in a week, it is not, it is never possible to kind of figure out all the stuff that an employee had done. So the first question that you need to ask the requester is, what is your objective? Why you are handling with this hard drive? What is the question that you're trying to answer? Okay. So when that, then that person will tell you that this person, we suspect that he is visiting a website which is not allowed by company policy. So you need to figure out, like, is this the case? And what website are they trying to visit? And what is that? And what is the time duration, and what's when they are trying to do that. So once you have that scope, then you understand, okay, this is the question that you are trying to answer, and then you only take the hard drive from them. Okay, the next thing actually you have to kind of do, once you have that question in mind, we need to figure out what logs can help you answer that question. Okay, so in this case, now again, like as I said that as you might recall, that there are thousands and thousands of different kind of logs in the Windows system. Okay, now you can't check all the logs, and also not necessary to check all the logs. Okay, so now since you know that it is related to website surfing, you now know that, okay, I need to only look at those logs which are like related to website surfing. So let's say Windows Chrome history. Let's say the laptop has Chrome browser and Microsoft browser. So we need to kind of know where those logs are present in the hard drive. What's the specific path? And if there's a specific path, let's say the database, we need to know how to parse the database. Okay. So now this is the second question that you need to answer. What logs can help you answer that question? So now let's say you know, okay, these are the logs that will help you in answering those questions. Now the next part that you will do is third thing, which is the last part, which is what you infer from the log. So now you have the Chrome history, you have parsed it. Now what you understand from that log. Okay. So what you understand is like that database should have like, let's say, URL, when that was visited, and who was logged in during that time. Okay. So these all things you need to kind of figure out. And the reason is that, let's say, why I told who is logged in, because in most of the cases, what happens is like, let's say the company has some shared desktop, which most of the employees like use as a single laptop, or let's say single desktop. In that case, we can't say that, okay, because this desktop has been assigned to this manager, then manager is a culprit. Like this manager has kind of visited the website. But because it's a shared desktop, we need to know who was that person who logged in during that time, and then we figure out the exact person who has did the policy violation. So for any kind of forensics, if you approach any forensic investigation using this three rule book, you will kind of never face any issue. Okay. So the thing is like, you first ask the question why we are going to do that. Then you kind of see what logs can help you answer that question, and then you figure out what you can infer from that log. Okay. And so this is the three things that you, if you keep this in mind, you will kind of never face an issue when you are kind of approaching any kind of a forensic investigation. And as I told, forensics require, right now, it requires knowledge of all the operating system, Windows, Linux, and Mac. And even in Linux, there are different flavors like CentOS, Ubuntu. Each of those flavors has different kind of logs. So you need to know that what kind of flavor of Linux is being used in your organization, and then kind of like take decision on that. Okay. So is there any other question on this forensics part? No, sir, it is clear. Okay. Okay. So guys, any other question before I proceed further? Threat intel is done, forensics is done. IR, incident response, as I told, is that incident response team. Um, it will depend. It will actually depend on the severity of the case and the scale of the case, basically. if that IR guy will be doing a forensics or not. Okay, so if the case is, so let's say you are an incident response lead, so in that case, you won't have a time to kind of conduct the forensics by yourself. You need to ask the analyst to do that for you, and you need to ask them to kind of document their finding. It's not something you can do being an incident response lead. So your work will be to kind of collaborate with different stakeholders like threat intel, forensics, the legal team, the leadership team, the managers, but you don't do the core work over there. You just ask someone to kind of do that for you. Okay. So this is what incident response lead and daily life look like. Okay. So this is all for this part, and now let's go to the other part that we were discussing, which was the visibility that the SOC team needs to have, which is network diagram, point of visibility, data flow diagram, log flow diagram, and all. So, are there any questions on this top 7 points? Let's say any questions on this,
Sure.
guys, from you? Yeah, go on.
Can you explain the points of visibility again?
Okay, so point of visibility, I will kind of give it some more details now. So the point of visibility I mean is that let's go over here and let's go to the network diagram and let's so point of visibility, I'll be kind of discussing that in much more detail in few minutes. But overall, the summarization is that you need to know from where you can kind of get the logs. Let's say this is the network diagram from where you can get the logs, and the thing is that from where you can tap the logs. So let's say there is a switch which is not saving the traffic that is going, let's say, which with the traffic that the switch is handling. But what you can do, so if the switch is not kind of logging any kind of traffic, so you won't get any logs from the switch to your central server. Okay, so in that case, you need to decide. Can you tap on the wires over here? Okay, can you mirror the traffic that is from any different? So most of the switches have this functionality. What happens is that you can use one of the ports, let's say this port, the fourth port over here, and you can use it as a mirroring port. So what the switch will start doing is that whatever traffic that switch is handling, it will mirror that traffic on this port. And from this port, you make a connection to your SIEM environment. So even the switch is not logging the data, not logging the traffic because they don't have a specific hard drive to log the data. You can just mirror the traffic on a real time. The traffic will flow as normal, but a duplicate packet will be created by the switch and it will kind of go to the same tool. So this is what I mean from the point of visibility. Like what are the different tabs that you can do over here uh, to kind of get a full idea of what kind of network traffic is kind of following through under any kind of a team network architecture. So this is what I mean by point of visibility. Okay. So any further questions on these 7 points?
Sir, can you explain the seventh point? Like we didn't listen to it actually.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
was
So
subject.
okay. So the 7 point I mean to say is like we need to kind of keep a list of critical assets and point of contact. So what I mean by critical assets is let's say again let's go to this diagram and let's say this is the HR team, or let's say this is the research and analysis wing of your company. Okay. In this case, let's say these are the three systems, for an example, or let's say these are two systems, for an example, which are used to kind of conduct research for your company. And it would also hold any patent information that is kind of going to, like, let's say company is going to file some patent on a new research, so you know that all those things are being handled by this two people. So for your team, for that team, the research and analysis wing of that team, these are the two critical assets. If they are compromised, there will be a major impact to the company because all the research will be stolen by the attacker. Let's say not stolen. Let's say there was a ransomware attack, for example. So all the research were kind of encrypted by the ransomware guys. Okay, so this is like we need to kind of know in our company which are the critical teams. So let's say there is HR team, finance team, and research team. So obviously one of the